afternoon and welcome to Live at 4. Here we are.
It's Friday.
It sure is.
It's Friday. How you doing with this cold?
Oh, I'm feeling my health or the temperatures.
Yes.
Not well. Not either count. But yeah, I got a little cold, but I'm okay.
Oh, I'm glad you're
I had a
back
fever
today.
yesterday, so
Yeah.
I stayed away, but I'm feeling a little better today.
Very good.
The weekend is upon us, so
Yes.
it's time to rest.
Yes.
But first, let's find out what's making news on this Friday, the day after Republicans refused to hold a discussion on the state's gun laws. We're hearing from voters about how they feel about the events at the Capitol.
There is a new way to donate to the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign this year, making it easier to give back during the holidays.
And more transcripts dropped today on depositions centering around a top White House official, what it means for the ongoing impeachment inquiry.
Let's take a look outside. Today was another cold one outside.
But the sun was out. That helps a little bit.
It makes such a huge difference.
In other words, for today, just a brief warm-up. We'll take anything at this point. Dave Caulfield's in the backyard. Did I see a 40 for tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, break out the flip-flops, am I right? Especially with the start to November that we've had, that is going to feel a lot warmer than we've been used to over the past week or so. A nice-looking sunset starting to take shape in Madison on the WISC-TV Skycam. Mostly cloudy skies have moved in, and we'll see them for the rest of tonight. Currently at 27 degrees, but with that wind chill, it feels like 16 outside. It will feel like the teens for Friday night football tonight, so that's something to keep in mind even as temperatures start to rise a little bit through the 20s overnight as a warm front gets closer. Some other temperatures at 30 in Janesville, 28 in Mineral Point, and 30 in Boscobel as well. 25 in the Dells, feeling like 14 though in the Wisconsin Dells right now. 21 is the wind chill in Janesville, and 19 in Lone Rock. So still pretty chilly this evening as temperatures fall through the 20s until we get to about 10 p.m. That's when I think temperatures actually start to go in the other direction, setting up not as cold for our Saturday. So I don't want to say warm or mild, just not as cold. Definitely an improving forecast as we head into this weekend. So let's take a look at your traffic camera here at Park Street and the Beltline. Not looking too bad on the westbound side. Starting to see a few brake lights eastbound heading out of Madison this afternoon. Let's take a look at the traffic map when we can here, showing some delays really starting to pile up on that eastbound Beltline, but no major accidents or incidents to report at this time. And we can see on the drive times, 11 minutes right now, eastbound Verona Road to John Nolan Drive. Average speed of around 25 miles per hour. Some other routes in and around Madison, everything showing up green. Southbound the Beltline to Janesville on the interstate is 27 minutes with an average speed right around 65 miles per hour. That is your first alert traffic update. We'll talk about a milder weekend, maybe a little bit of snow to start off Monday, but then more near record-breaking cold on the way in your first alert forecast.
All right, we'll check back in a little while. Thank you, Dave.
Topping our news today, just as he said he would, Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald gavelled in and gavelled out in last night's special session on gun control called by Governor Tony Evers.
Amy Reed is here now to explain what people in Fitzgerald's district think of the move. Amy?
So Fitzgerald represents much of Dodge County, which usually goes Republican and doesn't typically support stricter gun control. We spoke with people in Beaver Dam today, and many people there said, yes, we support the Second Amendment and people's right to carry guns. But everyone we talked to also said the way this was handled frustrated them. They told me they felt there should at least be a discussion.
That's not going to solve anything. I guess it's a little disappointing that there wasn't anything allowed, you know, and you need both sides, you need both perspectives in order to be able to move forward and get something done.
Fitzgerald's reasoning here was that he felt the two bills up for discussion infringe on constitutional rights. Those bills were a red flag law, which would allow a judge to temporarily seize firearms from people who pose a threat, and universal background checks. Fitzgerald said he didn't believe these bills would accomplish their intention to minimize gun violence, and he said if they could come up with a solution to that, the Senate would hear them.
All right, the debate continues. Amy, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. The field of Democratic presidential nominees was starting to thin, but could soon grow again if Michael Bloomberg decides to run. The former New York City mayor has made it clear he's not satisfied with the current pool of Democratic presidential contenders. Bloomberg spokesman said, "We now need to finish the job and ensure that President Trump is defeated." But Mike is increasingly concerned the current field of candidates is not not well positioned to do that. Bloomberg has not officially announced if he'll run, but he sent aides to Alabama to inquire about getting on the ballot there for the Democratic primary, which has a deadline of today. It is the earliest in the country. President Trump commented from the White House.
Little Michael will fail. He'll spend a lot of money. He's got some really big issues. He's got some personal problems.
Democratic candidate Elizabeth Warren tweeted welcoming Bloomberg to the race. Fellow contender Bernie Sanders also sent out a tweet writing, "The billionaire class is scared." Bloomberg was once a Republican and an independent who registered as a Democrat last year.
House committee members released transcripts for 2 more depositions today as they move closer to public hearings. Both testimonies point the finger at the acting White House chief of staff who failed to appear today for a scheduled deposition. Bafta Yaman is on Capitol Hill with more on those testimonies.
Interview transcripts from former White House aide Fiona Hill and the National Security Council's Alexander Vindman dropped Friday. Both recalled EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland asking for investigations during meetings with Ukrainian officials. According to Hill, Ambassador Sondland blurted out, "Well, we have an agreement with the chief of staff for a meeting if these investigations in the energy sector start." Ambassador Bolton immediately stiffened and ended the meeting. Vindman described a conversation he'd had with Sondland, who said acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney directed the investigations. He just said that he had had a conversation with Mr. Mulvaney, and this is what was required in order to get a meeting. When asked, did he explain what the investigations were that were needed? Vindman answered he was talking about the 2016 elections and an investigation into the Bidens and Burisma. President Trump downplayed the depositions before heading to Georgia.
I'm not concerned about anything. The testimony has all been fine.
Acting Chief of Staff Mulvaney failed to appear for a deposition here despite a congressional subpoena. Budget official Mark Sandy was also a no-show. Earlier, White House counsel received a cease and desist letter saying the blame will rest squarely with your client, referring to the president if harm comes to the whistleblower or their family. The president has repeatedly called for the whistleblower's unmasking, though his daughter Ivanka Trump disagreed in an interview with the Associated Press.
I don't view the whistleblower as it shouldn't be a substantive part of the conversation.
Meanwhile, House Republicans are adding one of the president's staunchest defenders on Capitol Hill to the Intelligence Committee. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan is expected to take part in the impeachment public hearings when they begin next week. Bafta Imam, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And Thursday, former National Security Advisor John Bolton failed to appear for a deposition. House committees declined to subpoena him.
Tomorrow marks the 30th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. The world watched as East Germans stormed the Berlin Wall 30 years ago. Residents were overwhelmed at the chance of a new life after the travel ban was lifted. Newspaper headlines read, "The wall is gone, Berlin is Berlin again." The wall was built in 1961 because too many people were fleeing Soviet-controlled East Berlin to escape to the West. Hundreds of East Germans were shot to death trying to find freedom. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was stationed near Berlin as an Army officer during the Cold War. This week, he returned to commemorate the fall of the Iron Curtain.
But as we celebrate, as we take this victory lap, we must also recognize that freedom's never guaranteed.
He also unveiled a statue to former President Ronald Reagan. The city of Berlin named Reagan an honorary citizen in 1992 for his efforts to reunify Germany. Decades later, parts of the wall still stand as a memorial to symbolize the collapse of communist regimes across Europe.
Well, you're going to hear a lot more bells ringing going in and out of stores for the next few months. The Salvation Army's annual Red Kettle Drive has officially begun. According to officials with the organization, money raised goes to help more than 4.5 million people during the holiday season. New this year, bell ringers will now accept digital donations through Apple Pay and Google Pay. Organizers say they're trying to raise $600,000 to sustain all of their programs and services.
We're seeing rising numbers of people that we're serving, especially as the temperatures drop. So the rising goal is to meet that rising need.
Organizers say they're still looking for volunteers to ring bells. You can go to ringbellsdane.org to sign up.
Well, we like to celebrate those who do something good in our community. We talk about that a lot here on News 3 Now, and that is what today is all about. It's National Philanthropy Day. The Association of Fundraising Professionals Greater Madison hosted its 32nd annual Philanthropy Day Awards luncheon at the Overture Center. Neil Heinen and I were honored to MC the luncheon today. Pleasant Rowland was among the honorees this year. She was given the Lifetime Achievement Award for the transformational gift that brought us the Overture Center to Madison.
That is
very inspiring event.
Yeah, that's a who's who.
Yeah.
Congratulations to all the winners and to you guys. You look great up there.
Oh, thanks. It was fun. It's a great event.
Yeah, it really is. Well, still to come at 4, Badger basketball is back. Bucky's home opener is at the Kohl Center tonight.
When we come back, sports director Jay Wilson will join us live. He'll have a preview when Live at 4 continues.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Welcome back. A classroom on wheels is helping medical students in rural areas get hands-on experience before working on real patients.
This mobile simulation lab at St. Luke's Hospital in Pennsylvania is equipped with microphones, speakers, and a control center. Realistic dummies breathe and bleed. The mobile lab allows hospital systems to bring state-of-the-art training to more medical students, especially in rural areas. Simulations are recorded so students and instructors can review their work.
Afterwards, we have that ability to debrief, where we talk about how that simulation went. How did it go for all the learners? What worked well? What worked? What could they do differently? What didn't work so well?
The truck can also be converted into a real treatment center in the event of a natural disaster, a mass shooting, or other emergency. The simulation center has trained more than 12,000 staff in the last year. Well, most people can only dream of owning a supercar because of the outrageous price tag.
But for those with real deep pockets and a need for speed, even exotic cars won't cut it. At this exclusive chateau in Mulsanne, France, is the world of hypercars, some of the fastest, most expensive, most luxurious in the world. To see what a $3 million Bugatti Chiron Sports is packing, CBS News' Ian Lee got behind the wheel with legendary race car driver Andy Wallace. A souped-up version of the Chiron recently broke a record, becoming the first production car to top speeds of 300 miles an hour.
So when you hit 300, though, what was the feeling? Accomplishment? Just focus?
Well, it's the fastest I've ever been, that's for sure.
Speed has been in the company's DNA for over 100 years. The first cars were born to race. Today, each car is handcrafted with carbon fiber, aerospace-grade metals, and built uniquely for each client. Less than 100 roll out of the workshop every year.
I could see you and Harvey Briggs tooling down the belt line in that.
300 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are something else. Well, stocks were flat on Wall Street as traders wait for some movement in the China trade deal. The Dow Industrials added nearly 6 points, ending the week at 27,680. The NASDAQ Composite Index gained 40, and the S&P 500 was up 7. Well, college basketball is back, and the Badgers are ready to get to work in Madison.
Sports director Jay Wilson is live at the Kohl Center tonight ahead of the team's first official home game of the season. Hi, Jay. This season is starting out on a little bit of an emotional and somber note, right?
Yeah, no question, Susan. It's going to be an emotional night. Before the game, there's going to be a ceremony at 6:45 to honor Howard Moore and his family. You probably know the story. On May 25th, Moore and his family were on a highway in Michigan and were in a terrible, tragic car accident. Howard Moore's wife, Jen, and his daughter, Jaden, were killed in that accident. Howard is still on a long, slow road to recovery and won't be here tonight, but his 13-year-old son, Jarrell, will be. And one nice thing that we've heard is he's going to be introduced in the starting lineup, young Jarrell Moore. So that's going to be quite a scene as well. Howard Moore's parents are going to be here. They're going to address the crowd in that pregame ceremony as well. But, you know, basketball, if you've been around a basketball team, a college basketball team, you realize how much of a family atmosphere it is. There's long hours. There's so many things that, so many hours that you stick together and you have to be together to be successful. And when you lose someone like Howard Moore, who's always had a smile on his face, one of the great guys when he played here in the mid-90s at Wisconsin, and as an assistant coach, he was always a guy who said hi to you and smiled, and you always felt better when you saw Howard Moore. So it's going to be quite a night, and of course the team is honoring him with some shirts that you've seen probably in pregame warm-ups that say do more, be more, for more, and that's going to be their motto for the season. And it's going to be a bit of a healing night tonight, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all develops.
Yeah, the best, all our thoughts to Howard and his family. Let's get back to the basketball. They're going to bounce back from the season opening defeat.
Well, you'd think so. I mean, they're always very good at home, and Eastern Illinois certainly is not a Big Ten team, but, you know, they're going to be a competitive bunch. The good news about their opener against St. Mary's is that they played the 20th ranked team in the country to overtime and had a couple of chances to win it. This is a different team from last year. Ethan Happ is not here. Khalil Iverson is not here. Nate Reavers stepped up the other night. Is he the next Ethan Happ? Well, we'll have to wait and see. There are some returners like Demetric Trice and Kobe King that need to take the next step to have this team be successful. A lot of people think this is like a 6th or 7th place team in the Big Ten. But you know what? They always seem to find a way to finish in the top 4, and we'll see how it develops as the season goes on.
They always do indeed. All right, Jay, live at the Kohl Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
And there's more to come at 4 later on. We'll go back. I can't see the teleprompter from here.
Hard to read.
Later on, we'll go backstage with Michael Bruno with Oregon High School's production of Guys and Dolls.
Good job. And tonight at 5, hear how people in Sun Prairie are reacting to a proposal that would pay for some child care for city leaders. That's coming up tonight at 5.
Take a look at this. It's a 43-year-old Twinkie. This all started in Roger Benetti's science class in 1976. They were talking about food preservatives when a student asked, how long would a Twinkie last? Benetti didn't know, so he sent a student to a nearby general store to buy one. Benetti ripped open the package, ate one of the Twinkies, and put the other one up on the chalkboard. That was the beginning of an experiment that has lasted more than 43 years. Over time, the Twinkies turned from gold to gray. The texture has become a bit more rough and pitted, but it's generally retained its size and shape, and people are surprised and a little alarmed at how well the Twinkie has held up over all of those years.
I wonder how it tastes.
You could not pay me enough money.
According to Hostess, they have an official shelf life of 65 days.
Wow.
I thought you were going to say years.
So did
actually.
I.
There's 35 ingredients in a Twinkie.
You're full of Twinkie facts.
Yeah.
Good luck. Yes, we did a lot of research on the 43-year-old Twinkie.
Yeah.
It's older than you. A lot older than you.
Yeah, a lot. By almost double. Yeah. I'm so young.
You're aging better than that Twinkie.
Yeah, I wish this cold would age out of here, but really looks like it's going to come back for next week. But this weekend, not as cold, which is good news. We'll talk about what to expect for the next couple of days, and if we could break any more records into next week in your First Alert forecast in just a few twinkles of an eye. Good evening. I hope you had a really nice Friday. So here is what we are talking about. A lot to go over in the weather department once again. We won't be as cold this weekend, so we're getting better in the temperature department. Tomorrow we could hit 40 degrees by the afternoon. That is nothing like what we've experienced basically for the start of this month. Some light snow and flurries possible late Sunday into early Monday. Not expecting much in the way of accumulations there, but there's still a lot of differences within our models exactly how much will fall. So we're watching that. And also some more near record cold to start next week. lows Tuesday morning could break some records across southern Wisconsin. We were close to record-breaking lows this morning, but we just missed it in Madison. Still, though, single digits in Madison, Watertown, and even below zero just to the north and west in Camp Douglas at -1, -8 in Black River Falls. That was actually the coldest spot in the entire continental United States to start off this Friday morning. Ouch, to say the least. Madison on the Edgewater Skycam, a little bit less cold right now, but still chilly. Today's high of 27 degrees, mostly cloudy skies right now. That's still about 20 degrees below normal, and our low temperature started off about 25 degrees below normal. So alert days in the forecast as we head into next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Again, we're watching the threat of some light snow possible early on Monday, maybe into early Monday afternoon for some of us. Then our attention turns into the unseasonable cold. We could, and right now our forecast is to break that record low on Tuesday morning with temperatures getting close to 6 degrees. Over the next 6 to 10 days, more of the same, more below normal temperatures look likely, but I do finally have some good news. Check this out. This is the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. So for the next 2 weeks, so to speak, and our chances for below normal temperatures are getting less and less likely. So that's good news, and really a lot of indications are starting to point to maybe some above normal temperatures by the time we get to the end of November. We'll keep our fingers crossed for that. Quiet across southern Wisconsin as far as snowfall goes. Not really a lot of activity here. There are some snowflakes way to the north and west. Maybe a flurry or two tonight into tomorrow morning. Not going to impact us all that much, but we will have wind chills in the teens for any playoff high school football action tonight. Mostly cloudy and breezy, so make sure you continue to bundle up tonight, even as temperatures go up tomorrow. Actually, some nice football weather for the Badger game versus Iowa tomorrow with highs, look at that. That is not a typo, in the 40s by the time we get to halftime tomorrow. Tonight, we're breezy, not as cold. Again, we could see a few flurries with some rising temperatures as we get into the overnight hours. We're helped by a warm front that comes through, turns our winds out of the south. We'll actually be in the low 30s to start off tomorrow morning. Highs, once again, in the low 40s, mostly cloudy skies. Still pretty quiet precipitation-wise. Maybe a few showers or flurries as we get into Saturday. That's really not going to impact us all that much. Sunday night into Monday morning, next chance of some minor accumulating snow, but really not looking like a major deal there. We'll continue to update you on that. The major deal for sure, though, will be the cold as we start the work week next week. Temperatures once again dipping into the single digits Monday night and Tuesday night with temperatures in the lower to upper 20s as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. So that cold comes back for the start of next week. Mark and Susan?
41 is going to feel so good. All right, thank you, Dave. Chris will keep us up to date on the weather this weekend on News 3 this morning.
And then stay tuned for CBS Sunday Morning. Tracy Smith joining us from Los Angeles this afternoon for a preview of what's coming up with Jane Pauley on Sunday. Hello, Tracy.
Hi, Mark.
Ford versus Ferrari. Tell us about this story you're working on.
That's right. So Ford versus Ferrari has not just one, but 2 Oscar winners in it, Christian Bale and Matt Damon. And this is the first time that they've actually worked together on a movie. So I asked them what they learned from each other.
I had a great time watching him. He's got an incredible monk-like discipline. He went from Dick Cheney to this guy, so he had to lose 70 pounds.
70 pounds.
I had to get in the car.
Does it get harder to do that physical transformation?
Yes.
Yeah?
I keep saying I'm done with it.
Are you
I
done
really
with
think
it?
I'm done with it, yeah.
Yeah, now?
Yeah, I think so, yeah, I gotta be.
You know when you're on set and he's like, oh, hold on, it's my cardiologist. I have to take this. Yeah, you better take that call.
Now, these guys are a lot of fun, and the movie's a lot of fun, even if you're not into cars. This is just a great, old-fashioned movie that I can't wait to take my kids to. So I think you'll enjoy that story as well.
Yeah, the trailer looks fantastic. I can't wait to see it. What else is on the show on Sunday?
Well, we actually have another Oscar winner. Olivia Campbell is taking over the role of Queen Elizabeth on the brilliant TV series based on the British royal family, The Crown. And Mark Phillips visits their set as they're about to launch their 2nd season. We also have a look at the new edition of The Joy of Cooking, if you are into the culinary arts or just like eating. And we have, actually, it's related to another Oscar winner. We have, for Veterans Day, a really touching story behind the movie Forrest Gump.
Sounds like a jam-packed show as usual. Tracy, thank you. We'll see Jane Pauley Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. Have a great weekend. That's a good show.
Yeah, it looks like a great one this weekend.
Still to come at 4, how does a nice hot bowl of homemade soup for dinner sound?
Registered dietitian Julie Andrews is here. She has a whole cookbook full of great soup recipes, and she'll share some of them with us. Hi, Julie. When Live at 4 continues, we'll be right back. Here's a live look over Madison on this Friday afternoon. You can see it's still cold.
Yeah.
See the smoke billowing up?
Coming from MG&E, yep.
Well, during a week like this, with these frigid temperatures, nothing hits the spot better than a hot bowl of soup.
Registered dietitian Julie Andrews has a book full of delicious and nutritious recipes. It's called The Simple Soups Cookbook, and Julie's here with a number of recipes from that book. Thanks for being with us today.
Hi, Julie, and this is a digital version, a digital book.
It is. So it's a Kindle book on Amazon, or you can get it as a digital cookbook on my website.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
We'll tell everybody how to do that in just a little bit.
Okay, so what do we got here today?
Oh, well, we have 5 of the soups from the book. So there are 27 recipes in the book. 2 of them are stock recipes. So I show you how to make your own stock from vegetables or from chicken.
Oh, interesting.
So that's fun. And then the other 25 are all soup recipes. So we have 5 of them today. So this one's the old-fashioned ham, cabbage, and potato soup, which you can also make in the Instant Pot. So in the book, I have all stovetop versions, but then I have 10 of them where you can also make them in the Instant Pot. And this is one of those. You can literally make this in the Instant Pot in 8 minutes, which is amazing. That's why I love the Instant Pot.
That's why they call it Instant Pot.
Yes, but if you don't have one, you can of course make them all on the stove.
So what's in it? What are the ingredients?
So this one is potatoes, ham, cabbage, carrots, onion, garlic, has some bouillon to give the broth a really awesome flavor, some fresh thyme, salt and pepper, super easy to make.
It couldn't be easier.
All right, let's move this guy here.
So this one is butternut squash apple soup. So you just saute the butternut squash once it's cubed up with apples. There's some coconut milk in there, a little maple syrup. It's just really, really easy to make and really, really good for you.
So you just reduce that all down, and then you have an immersion blender to make it creamy, or you could put it in a regular blender?
So any of these creamy soups that are pureed like this, you can use an immersion blender right in the pot, and that's what I love about it, because you don't have to transfer it into a blender, and they're really inexpensive to get. Or if you don't have one of those, you can transfer it into the blender and just give it a whirl until it's nice and kind of baby foodish.
All right, this one?
So this is a creamy chicken and wild rice soup. So there are some meat soups in the book and then also some vegetarian. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. And I just have some mushrooms on top because they go.
What kind of mushrooms are they?
Those are oyster mushrooms.
Okay. All right, some more creamy soup over here.
So another pureed one. So this is a curry cauliflower soup, which is really delicious. Again, it has a little coconut milk in it, some curry paste. You could also use curry powder, and then it's finished with just a little fresh lime juice.
And what's on the top? Just some sesame seeds?
Yeah, those are just some black sesame seeds and a little coconut milk.
And beans.
So this is actually lentils. So this is an Indian-inspired lentil soup, and it has a bunch of different vegetables in it, and then the lentils, but it also has garam masala, which is a really delicious Indian spice mixture. So that's kind of what makes that really special.
Oh, and lentils are so good for you, aren't
they? They are. They're super high in fiber. They have protein, so it's kind of a full meal right in a bowl there.
Or you could add a salad.
You could, which is what we have here.
This is a fall salad?
So it's kind of a fall salad, but it's also a winter salad because winter came really early. So we have some this is some actual acorn squash that I roasted, and then we have apples, and then we also have some candied walnuts. So I just sauteed these in a pan with a little bit of maple syrup and some cinnamon.
Ooh,
really easy, and it just adds that extra little sweetness. And then we have some fresh pomegranates, which are in season in the winter.
Really?
Oh, look at the colors.
I know, isn't that beautiful?
Salad, yeah.
And then we have a really quick and easy salad dressing. So this is a maple apple salad dressing. So we have some maple syrup.
We're putting it all in here?
Yep, right into there. So all we have in the bowl so far is just a little pinch of salt and pepper.
Okay.
We have pure maple syrup. That is some apple cider vinegar.
All right.
Okay.
A little bit of olive oil. And then the last thing is Dijon mustard.
Oh, it smells so good.
So things you most likely have at home, and you can make a really quick and easy dressing, and the maple and apple cider go so well with this salad.
Just mix it up and
mix it up, exactly.
Now with your squash, do you have the peel on the squash in your salad?
So this is just for food styling purposes.
Okay.
So if you get delicata squash, I don't know if you've ever tried that, you can eat the peel on that one.
Oh, really?
So typically we would want on an acorn squash to take the peel off, but it just looks really nice for TV.
Recipes online?
Yes.
And the cookbook's online?
It is.
Where do you go?
If you go to thegourmetrd.com/cookbook, you can get it right there.
And we have more info on channel3000.com. Julie, thank you.
Thank you.
All look delicious.
Yeah,
Good to see you, Julie.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Well, there's more at 4. The fall high school musical season is in full swing. Several shows open this weekend.
When we come back, Guys and Dolls is being performed at Oregon High School. Our Michael Bruno goes backstage to check it out when Live at 4 continues.
Good afternoon. Here's your first alert traffic update, taking a live look at Park Street and the Beltline. We're seeing some slow go in both directions. A Friday afternoon on the Beltline after all. We've come to expect this, and we're seeing those brake lights from about Park Street closer to Seminole Highway on the westbound side. Eastbound, those delays back up all the way to Verona Road and close to Southtown Drive. So here are your drive times westbound John Nolan to Verona Road. That's 9 minutes to get through the entire Beltline. Eastbound, 26 minutes, so running a little bit slow. Average speed of around 35 miles per hour. That is your first alert traffic update.
All right, Dave, thank you. Check this out. A Chicago man has been building his very own Batmobile from scratch. He calls it the big black car. He's been working on it for 4 years in his garage. It not only looks cool, it can pivot in place for a quick exit. And it runs great as well. There's a V12 engine up front and a Boeing 502 jet engine in the back.
Wow. That looks like the Bugatti we showed earlier.
That thing's going to move. All right, the musical Guys and Dolls premiered on Broadway in 1950, where it ran for 1,200 performances and won the Tony Award for Best Musical.
Oregon High School is staging this audience favorite this weekend. Our Michael Bruno went backstage to check it out.
I dreamed last night I got on a boat to heaven, and by some chance I had brought my dice along, and there I stood and I hollered, someone save me. But the passengers, they knew right from wrong. For the people all said, sit down, you're rocking the boat. People all said, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And the devil will drag you under by the dreadful call of your checkered coat. Sit down, you're rocking the boat.
So first of all, tell me the plot line of Guys and Dolls.
So it follows two couples created by David Runyon, one between a gambler and a hotbox dancer, and the other between a gambler and a mission doll, as their relationships evolve over a period of like 2 to 3 days. For the people all said beware. People all said beware. Scholarship. And the devil will drag you under by the fancy tie under we get the road. Sit down. I play Nicely Johnson, which is one of the couples, the gambler in the hotbox, Nathan's, one of Nathan's friends and one of the guys that helps him set up his crap game. A great big wave came and washed me overboard, and as I sank and I hollered, someone save me.
And what about age-wise? I'm always curious when we go into high schools and we see people playing an older generation, and the show is an older generation. So do you think about that in your character, thinking, how would that guy move if he was so much older than me?
Yeah, sometimes. No, I don't. I didn't think about that. I'm gonna be honest.
Honesty! I love an honest man. And now you have a certain connection to the show with some of their family members, is that right?
My dad went to Oregon High School in the 70s, and he played percussion in the pit when he was in high school. And he is back playing percussion in the pit this year with us.
So what's that like, having, looking down and seeing your dad out of the corner of your eye in the pit? Is that kind of a cool thing for you?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've never been able to do a show with my dad. So having him in the pit is a really fun experience. And it's cool to see him see me throughout the rehearsal process rather than just hearing me talk about it at home and then seeing the show.
Call a lawyer and sue me.
My character, Nathan Detroit, is constantly trying to run his underground crap game that is constantly shifting from place to place, while also trying to avoid the wrath of his fiancée for 14 years, Miss Adelaide.
When I think of the time gone by. Adelaide! I play Miss Adelaide. She is engaged to Nathan Detroit. They've been engaged for 14 years. What she wants more than anything else in the world is to get married to Nathan. She tries so hard over and over again to convince him to marry her.
Adelaide!
I could honestly die.
Sue me, shoot bullets through me.
Michael Bruno joining us now. That's a big show.
It is a big show. It's a very, very big show.
So, but you do have to make the leap of that age difference.
Well,
They're playing...
it is one thing with these little baby-faced boys, just these hardened criminals, and crap playing dice playing gangsters, but they do a great job. I mean, they really are. It's a great cast of kids.
Now that is a pro right there. She was not supposed to fall.
No, she slipped during rehearsal, and she got right back up and kept on going. She's a trooper.
Yeah, that's impressive. Very impressive.
So it's Guys and Dolls, Oregon High School tonight and tomorrow at 7:30, Sunday at 2 o'clock. You can only get tickets at the door now. There are no more online sales, but the ticket office opens 45 minutes before the show. Next week.
That's correct. Next week, we're going to McFarland High School for Mamma Mia.
Oh, another great show.
Yes.
Yeah.
And happy opening to all the high schools. There's like 5 different high schools that are opening tonight, so break legs, everybody.
Oh,
absolutely.
Nice.
All right, Michael, thank you. We'll be right back with a final check of your forecast. All right, coolness continues.
Yeah, temperatures are technically going to rise overnight, but before they do, we'll still be in the 20s tonight for Friday Night Football with mostly cloudy skies. A few flurries not out of the question, but remember, it's still going to feel like the teens, and these wind chills right around 16, 17, 18 degrees are going to continue into this evening. So temperatures will technically fall through the 20s with some more increasing clouds. If it's not cloudy right now, it will be in the next couple of hours. And rising temps overnight, but temperatures in the low 40s for the Badger game tomorrow. So that will feel like much warmer weather for sure.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
Just go in a shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Dave, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Monday here on Live at 4, we'll meet our Pet of the Week from the Dane County Humane Society.
And our film critic Will Loper will be here to tell us what he thinks of the new movie Last Christmas. That's coming up Monday on Live at 4. Well, on this cold November Friday, we could use some news to warm our hearts.
Sounds like it's time for Lola and Louie's News Sounds Now update.
It's News Sounds Now update with Lola and Louie.
This week on the News Sounds, 2 prickly newborns.
Some fashionable pups.
And T-shirt is at it again.
But first, a zoo in Colombia is welcoming Celeste, a baby tapir, into the world. She had a tough start to life. She was rejected by her mother. Zoo employees stepped in to take care of her and feed her special formula and fruit, and now Celeste is in excellent condition. All tapir species are endangered and vulnerable. So Celeste isn't just cute, her birth is good news for the survival of her species.
Boston's Franklin Park Zoo welcomed 2 new members of its porcupine family. The 2 porcupets, yep, that's what they're called, were born October 8th and are now just meeting the public. Babies and mom, a 4-year-old Cape porcupine, are doing well. Fun fact, porcupets are born with their eyes open and are up and running immediately after birth.
Dogs take over the catwalk at a canine fashion show in LA. Fashion designer and self-professed